Well, aloha there. Seems like everything is going to Alrighty. So, remember that I didn't get to finish part of, but I can just restart to, what is it? Yeah, the present day of Ethiopia, its history. What is it? After the 90s, the Soviet Union collapsing, Ethiopia didn't have its military regime that was proto-commune, and now it just became a democratic place that's dealing with issues, even when it comes to the neighbors, like Eritrea, them separating, then having a conflict, and also dealing with other repercussions when it comes to its own internal affairs, like police brutality, government forces dealing with Ethiopian society, or what is it? That's sort of what I remember. Alrighty, so let's see. We're on to Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party of 2018 through present. So a 5-year span. Abiy Ahmed became prime minister following Helmari's resignation. He made an historic visit to Eritrea in 2018, ending the state of conflict between two countries. For his effort in ending the 20-year-long war between Ethiopia and Eritrea, Abiy was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. What was it? No, just the Nobel Prize for Peace in 2019. After taking office in April 2018, 46-year-old Abiy released political prisoners, promised fair elections for 2019, and announced sweeping economic reforms. As of 6 June 2019, all the previously censored websites were made accessible again. Over 13,000 political prisoners were released, and hundreds of administration staff were fired as part of the reforms. Ethnic violence rose during the late 2010s. There were Oromo-Somali clashes between the Oromo, who make up the largest ethnic group in the country, and the ethnic Somalis, leading to 400,000 have been displaced in 2017. Ghetto-Oromo clashes between the Oromo and the Ghetto people in the south of the country led to Ethiopia having the largest number of people to flee their homes in the world in 2018, with 1.4 million newly displaced people. Starting in 2019, in the medical conflict, fighting in the medical zone of the Benishangul-Gumuz region in Ethiopia has reportedly involved militias from the Gumuz peoples against Amharas and Agwas. In March 2020, the leader of the Amhar militia, called Fanu, Solomon Autonomo, stated that they would not disarm until medical zone in the Tigray region districts of Metkate and Aral will return to the control of Amhara region. In September 2018, 23 people were killed in acts of ethnic violence against minorities in the special zone of Omri near the protests against what many regard as a lack of a response from the government to the violence. Some were killed by police. The federal government, under the Prosperity Party, requested that the National Election Board of Ethiopia cancel elections for 2020 due to health and safety concerns about COVID-19. No official date was set for the next election at the time, but the government promised that once a vaccine was developed for COVID-19, the elections would move forward. The Tigray ruling party, TPLF, opposed canceling elections, and when when their requests to the federal government to hold elections were rejected, the TPLF proceeded to hold elections anyway. On 9 September 2020, they worked with regional opposition parties and included international observers in the election process. It was estimated that 2.7 million people participated in the election. Relations between the federal government and the Tigray regional government deteriorated after the election. And 4th November 2020, Abiy became a military offensive in the Tigray region in response to attacks on army units stationed there, causing thousands of refugees to flee to neighboring Sudan and triggering the Tigray War. More than 600 civilians were killed in a massacre in the town of May Kandra on 9th November 2020. In April 2021, Eritrea confirmed its troops were fighting Ethiopia. As of March 2020, as many as 5,000 people have died as a result of violence and famine in the Tigray War, with other report estimates reaching numbers as high as 700,000, 800,000 by the end of 2022. After a number of peace and mediation proposals in the intervening years, Ethiopia and the Tigrayan rebel forces agreed to a cessation of hostilities on 2 November 2022, as Eritrea was not a party to the agreement. However, their status remained unclear, and that is in 2022. I mean, that's a year ago, and that's a lot of things that's been going on. That's a lot of things I just read about. Just, going through Ethiopia's entire history and just knowing the ancient times till now. Okay, the map illustrating the Ethiopian civil conflict as of 2022, included are Al-Shabaab attacks, the Tigray War Zone, and the redeployment of federal troops from the southeast to the north. Okay, so if this is right, let me actually just look through. Yeah, Ethiopia overall conflict map 2020s. When it comes to the conflict of Tigray, Ethiopia national and regional scales around this area, on the state of Amhara, and also between the border of Eritrea. So look at the fragment. Like a location of how Ethiopia is located in the African continent, where it's actually quite funny. Looking at the map on the far right, top far right, showing that in green is Ethiopia. I see that on top of it it's Eritrea, but on the side, left-hand side of the west is the country Sudan, but there is two countries, Sudan and South Sudan. I mean, the fun fact is that is the most region country that in the UN international community that everyone recognizes as the newest country that exists, South Sudan, which is around like the 2010s, so they probably need to update the map. And then, on top of here is Egypt. So I always remember Egypt, south of it is Sudan. And something to remember is, okay, so Sudan is the top of Egypt. Sudan on the east is Eritrea and Ethiopia. So, oh wait, also looking at the map, it also has South Sudan. Oh, okay, my mistake then. Damn, so Sudan is this big country. Okay, so looking through my mouse cursor, okay, so this is Sudan and this is Southern Sudan. Okay, so South Sudan actually, it's just also sitting close to Ethiopia. Okay, well, it goes to show how Sudan is such a big country. Okay, it's two different places. Okay. And a lot of other things like Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed receiving the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo in 2019. Okay, so ending the conflict with Eritrea, he was able to end the 20-year conflict. Yet the what is it? Yeah, conflict in the Tigray area that led to the war. Wait, did they officially call it? Yeah, the famine in the Tigray War. So actually, yeah, let me call it famine in northern Ethiopia. Okay, yeah, it's an article. It's like Tigray War. That's actually something. Yeah, something I like to cover. Okay, 3rd of February to 3rd. Yeah, okay, so exactly 2 years. But anyway, where should I go? I'll go back to Ethiopia, where in modern day, well, before democratic Soviet Union, it was a bunch of regimes. Then during World War II, it was part of the Italian Empire, where the Duce tried to conquer it. He couldn't because of past actions. When they scrambled Africa, they failed on that. What was it? Selassie, the ruler who was not just in charge during World War II, but also the interwar period in World War One. That's something just to always remember. And also, Menelik II modernizing everything. Alright, 1700s, semi Musfate. Now remember, it became a smaller country that was influenced in the area. Before that, learning more about this, Middle Ages, Empire of Assam. Just to remember that, and even know a little more than prehistory, besides knowing that some of the archaeological findings of the earliest humans were found there. Yeah, it was around like the late 80s and 90s. So Dinkinesh, that's referring to Lucy, that was discovered along with one of the other original, and it's Artie. Okay. Most well-known hominid. Yeah, the specimen was. Okay, yeah, actually, my bad. So Lucy was actually discovered in 1974. That was the most early known until they found another hominid known to be the earliest than Lucy was in 1994, Artie. And learning more about it is 980 BC. The Dimit was established in present-day Eritrea in the Tigray region of Ethiopia and was widely believed the successor state to Punt. So also understand that Eritrea has a long history of not just being part of Ethiopia, but its own culture of itself. It's interesting also looking at the Tigray region being referenced here. Like, was it the age of antiquity in the history of Ethiopia, where around the Tigray War in 2020 through 2022 that happened, that was occurring. And it goes to show there's a lot of importance. Other than that, that's pretty much Ethiopia. Let me actually skim through all this, because what is it? Government and politics. Ethiopia is a federal parliamentary republic wherein the prime minister is the head of government and the president is the head of state with large ceremonial powers. So, okay, the president doesn't have much power compared to a prime minister. I'm remembering, was it the Russian Federation having a similar system? Then this comes to my head. The federal parliamentary republic. A parliamentary republic is a republic that operates under a parliamentary system of government where the executive branch derives its legitimacy from and is accountable to the legislature. Okay, I think that actually explains it. Okay, so when it comes to Parliament being important in a parliamentary republic and why they have presidents and prime ministers is that there is not much of a check and balances, because the executive branch of the government, like the presidency and even the prime ministership, is really entangled into the parliament's affairs, unlike the Constitutional Republic of the U.S. being the legislation Congress being a separate power than executive presidency. Such. Okay. So the Ethiopian judicial consists of a dual system with two court structures, the federal and the state courts. Okay, the federal constitution vested federal judicial authority. Yeah, read through that. Okay, let me just skim through this. So, what is it? 1994 Ethiopian Constitution is something they do follow. In 2015, the realities of the dispersion report by Freedom House. It's just referring to a lot of things related to courts. Because according to the Democracy Index published by the United Kingdom-based Economist Intelligence Unit in late 2010, Ethiopia was a authoritarian regime, ranking as the 118th most democratic out of 167 countries. Ethiopia has dropped 13 places on this list since 2008. The 2010 report attributed the drop to the government's crackdown on opposition activities, media, and civil society before the 2010 parliamentary election, which the report argued that had made Ethiopia a de facto one-party state. Now, okay, so this is around like the 2008 report. Well, reading its history, where the new prime minister in the 2020s actually made a considerable effort to become less authoritative and bring democracy into the region, to the point that I bet that they have a new report that's coming in the next several years talking about this. Or maybe this wiki needs to update, which, Jesus Christ, the amount of stuff in this wiki. I bet that the people we're working on here has their work cut for them. But, alright. Not governments. Well, I should look through the pictures. Yeah, House of People's Representatives is the lower house of the Ethiopian Federal Parliamentary Assembly. Was it going to system of federal and a state? Alrighty. Okay, so governments in the post-1995 regime, Ethiopia's politics has been liberalized with promoting all encompassing reforms in the country. Today, its economy is based on mixed market-oriented principles. Okay, so skip through here. Okay, so talking about Ethiopia's governance, pretty much it becoming a democratic country, not a regime anymore. They had elections, accessibility, well, wider accessibility than the regimes, but had issues like this paragraph. Citizens had little access to media other than the state-owned networks, and most private newspapers struggled to remain open and suffer periodic harassment from the government. Starting from the 2005 elections, at least 18 journalists who had written articles critical of the government were arrested on genocide and treason charges. The government used press laws governing liberal to intimidate journalists who were critical of its policies. And, yeah, actually, just saying that out loud, it's quite preposterous learning about this in a democratic society that Ethiopia was trying to promote in the 2000s. The aughts. It shows that their struggle, but what is it? It's around the 2000s. The government initiated a crackdown in the provinces as well. This goes back to, the Tigray region in conflict. Coalition for Unity and Democracy, after various internal divisions, they actually work together along with other groups to have a more democratic reform. By 2015, there were no opposition MPs in the Ethiopian parliament. All that stuff. Okay, so Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and President Salih along with former Foreign Minister of Ethiopian, current WHO Director Tedros Adhanom, with the late former Prime Minister of Japan Shinzo Abe. Formulations. Then you got the military being a thing, law enforcement, human rights as being a big factor in governance, politics, LGBT rights, administration divisions. Yeah, I mean, I could look through a bunch of these. There's a lot to go through. Let's look at administration divisions. So around the Tigray region conflict, it's by Eritrea's border of western and northwestern area, the regions of Tigray, but they also have other regions, like Tigray regions near Afar and Amhara. Okay, so they also have another region, Somali, which is by the Somali. And Somaliland. And even touching Kenya. Before 1996, Ethiopia was divided in 13 provinces, mainly derived from historical regions. The nation has a tiered government system consisting of the federal government overseeing regional states, zones, districts, or they're called warada, and Gabriel's neighborhoods. Ethiopia was divided in 11 ethnically based and political autonomous regional states. Each region has at its apex a regional council where members are directly elected to represent the districts. And council has legislative and executive power to direct internal affairs of the regions. And the Ethiopian Constitution from the 90s talks about many of the freedoms and autonomy these regions have. Which, okay, it's going to show that, yeah, learning more about Ethiopia is a modern democracy in Africa where they're going through some issues when it comes to the government, when it comes to foreign affairs. So the internal affairs, foreign affairs, national, international issues, along with, what is it, having a history of that, but there's no Dargam regime anymore, and it's also the world wars and interwar period is gone, along with the era of colonization, the scramble of Africa, and when it came to the Middle Ages, where they had to fight through kingdoms around, modern day Eritrea, Somalia, the Red Sea area. Man, that shows the difference. But now we're about geography. Ethiopia is the world's 28th largest country, comparable in size to Bolivia. It lies between the 3rd parallel north and the 15th parallel north, and the longitude is 33rd meridian east and 48th meridian east, if anyone needs to locate where Ethiopia is. The major portion of Ethiopia lies in the Horn of Africa, which is their easternmost part of the African landmass. Ethiopia is an agriculturally diverse country, ranging from deserts along the eastern border to the tropical forests in the south to extensive Afro-Montane in the north and southwestern parts. Look at this. Okay, so in Afro-Montane regions are subregions of the Afrotropical realm. biogeographic realms covering the plant and animal species found in the mountains of Africa and the southern Arabian Peninsula. Okay, so it is mountainous types of regions that have that biosphere. So Lake Katana in the north is the source of the Blue Nile. It has many endemic species notable with Galada, the wally ibex, and the Ethiopian wolf, Simon fox. Oh wow, it actually looks like a dog. Looks like a dog and a fox. How cute. But okay, so Lake Tana is actually the source of the Blue Nile. Blue Nile's through Ethiopia and Sudan along with the White Niles. Okay, so understanding that the Blue Nile and the White Nile is connected to the Big Nile River from Egypt. But Lake Tana in Ethiopia has the main source where it starts, the river starts. The nation is the land of geographic contrast, ranging from the vast feudal west with its forests and numerous rivers and the world's hottest settlement to the world's hottest settlement of Dalran in the north. Dar is in its north. So the hottest settlement in Ethiopia, well no, it should be the world. That's why we're in the world, but I just want to look at Dolly Coast. It's around the Tiger region, so it's probably some warm. Dolly currently holds the official record for the record high average temperature for the inhabitable location on Earth in average temperatures of 35 Celsius, which was recorded between 1968 and 1966. Places on Earth with paved roads to nearby villages are being built. Okay, so this is the most hottest inhabitable town, which is now a ghost town because of the desolate temperatures and resources there. As I was about to say, I mean, you ever heard of what is it? The Valley of Death or Death Valley in the US? I mean, temperatures is around like, what is it, mid 50 Celsius. There was one time that they reported, I think in the 1910s, the hottest most point in history. It was 130 Fahrenheit, which was like what, like 58 degrees Celsius. But apparently, this is the hottest place in the world. That used to be a town, but now it's a ghost town. So going through here, yeah, the Ethiopian highlands are the largest continuous mountain ranges in Africa, with the smallest containing the largest cave on the continent. Ethiopia has the second largest number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Africa. So the second. Okay. But this is in the African continent, so I wonder what's the top first. I bet it will be Egypt. It should be Egypt. I mean, it has a whole ancient civilization. One of the big fours in the world. So yeah, going to climate. Oh, okay, they actually have a map towards here. So the climate types of Ethiopia, from a monsoon area to a hot desert. Okay. Oh man, the legend is all different around. But understand, okay, the blue could be tropical, along with the green is a highland subtropical area at most. So I'm thinking like a temperate, but in Africa, I think a temperate would refer to a like savanna, highland grassland area type of weather. And the red and orange is a desert, where the red is an actual desert. And orange is more like a desert highland, where there's some shrubs, some trees, but not much compared to the tropical region. And there's no tundra. I'll be surprised if there is. And that's what makes up the region of Ethiopia. tropical regions on the east, deserts on, oh no, deserts on the east, tropical rainforests on the west. So, okay, looking at the time, that's just what I have left. But I finally finished with the history. I could talk more about Ethiopia, especially the Tigray region. But anyway, well, that's it. Until next time, aloha.